that you guys, I think, are going to love. Well, of course, my first selectmen's meeting, the press was in the room all over the place. I mean, everywhere. They were filming our Board of Selectmen's meeting. So one gentleman got up and he said, he said, I want to know how this Board of Selectmen and you, Mrs. Johnson, he said, are going to be sure that the government isn't trying to fool us. And I want you to know that I want to be sure that everyone in this town is safe. And I said to this gentleman, I said, I certainly will make sure, I promise you, that I will do everything in my power. Well, let's turn around. Now we wait. We wait for the federal government to come down to do the inspection of, God rest her soul, that the dear lady, 94 years old, Otley Lundgren. Mind you, she was still active, living alone. She was a judge's wife, very meticulous, had all her clothes dry cleaned, went to the hairdresser and lunched with the other ladies in town. Okay? So she was active. All she did was go to her mailbox. Think about that. Anyway, when the feds got into town with the FBI from the federal government and their hazmat teams and all, I went to go up the hill to the house because I promised the citizens I was going to watch. Well, when I got to the bottom of the hill, state policeman said, I'm sorry, ma'am, you can't go up there. I said, I'm the first selectman in the town of Oxford, and I am going up there. He said, no, I am authorized to turn this car, you around. So I turned right around and I went to the trailer, the place where they had a trailer down the road of the FBI. And I walked in and I said to the FBI from New Haven, I said, look, this is how it is, and this is what I did say. This is how it's going to be. I said, either I go up that hill and get to talk to the federal government and the FBI that's there and the hazmat people. I said, as the first selectman of our town, I said, or you see the press outside? I'm going right out there and I'm going to tell you that this first selectman was not allowed up that hill to see what's going on in our town. Well, I was put in a police car, and up the hill we went. Okay,
I was already picturing this as soon as you started.
Now, when we got up to the hill, they sent out a spokesperson, and I got to see them going in and out with the thing. They let me as close to the house as I could see, and I saw them going in and out. I saw the activity, and I stood there with the person in charge, and I asked him questions, and he answered, yes, they're doing their job, this and that. Do I think I got everything I'm supposed to know? Do you think I got the truth? Do you think I got everything? Maybe I got partly the truth and all. I'm not that naive, but at least I could tell the citizens in the town. I went up, I saw it going on, I spoke to someone, and that's what I did. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. What person doesn't want it?
Important.
And now,
Important.
of course, I never got a second term because my husband was ill, and I thought I spent my second term thinking my husband was going to pass away any moment. And they told me he didn't have much time. Matter of fact, they broke the news to us that the interferon hadn't worked, that he still had cancer in him. So the doctors, oncologist sent us home, and he said, listen, he said, we're going to have to figure something else we can do for you, but go home, come back, we'll do some more tests. Well, we came back. Is it permissible for me to mention his doctor on air? Maybe no. He was a good doctor.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't
try to be
do it.
careful
He was a
with
very
things,
good doctor.
Yeah.
I loved him,
Right.
okay? We don't want to get anyone in trouble here.
In case they don't wanna be
No, we don't want to do that. Okay, see, I knew enough to ask. Anyway, he walked into the room. My husband's sitting on the table. I'm there, a wreck, of course. And he walks up to walks through the door. He's got my husband's charts in his hands, and he says, "It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy." He said, "You've been given a gift." Well, he was cancer-free.
Wow.
Isn't that wonderful?
And that's how I would...
And that's how you went through all that.
That's how I did. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
But you were talking about people saying that politics and dealing with politicians are a dirty thing. I look at everybody and I deal with both sides, Democrats and Republicans, when I talk to them, and I really honestly find everybody that gets in at the local and state level, they want to get in to make a difference, and they want to do something.
Well, I think there's a
and you know what?
agenda at that
And
level.
people's mindsets and their theories on how things should be done are obviously sometimes they're radically different on certain points, but. When you look at their inner motivations of what they're trying to get accomplished, they're really trying to do it. They're trying to make, their state a better place or
Shouldn't
their
they be a
locality
little
a
bit
better
radically
place.
different? Because if we don't argue and have some conflict, how do we end up
How do we work
coming
through
into something,
getting
getting through
the
to something
right
that's the right thing to do
thing to do?
sometimes?
No,
Whether you're talking politics or
we've
boards
been-
of corporations or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. We've been very lucky. We deal with some wonderful politicians, there's no question. Some of them get a little nervous with me because of the controversies that I deal with.
Imagine.
That's usually why I'm the one that approaches them in the
That's
first
why you
place.
deal
That's
with
why we all
it better than
different
I do.
functions with that, right?
That's why Bonnie's always with me when I interview people and everything, because I can be really rude and I can shut them off and stuff like
So
that.
sometimes we do this.
Yeah, so it calms down. But the fact of the matter is you gotta have a voice, you gotta be strong, you gotta be out there. I mean, if you wanna change things, and sometimes it's too bad, obviously, I don't know, my reputation is tough, but just like when you and I met, we were both there at the hearings, and 3 people jumped up, and were ready to blast everybody amongst a few hundred that were there. There was you, and there was
Elaine.
Elaine,
Elaine, Elaine Burns.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, and obviously I jumped up when I was ready to go, but the 2 ladies were there, so
then you-
I was being a gentleman, I allowed them to
he said,
blast
they're doing
my-
so well, let them go.
and of course, Kathy attacked him just, it might as well have been me. She's like I am, tore into it. And she had the background from the political perspective. Now, some
Political and
people don't
personal.
like that,
No.
but,
Yeah.
some
too
people
bad.
don't like that, but.
I look at it this way. You know
you've
what?
got
If,
to-
if you didn't get the party started right at that point, because what was
would've been
happening
lost.
at that time was you had a bureaucrat that was in there with a bunch of politicians,
Right.
and she was describing, from their point of view,
From their-
how what a wonderful thing that they were
This was
about to
doing.
do.
Right, right.
And here you have 300 people that packed the State House,
Right.
and they were pissed.
Exactly right.
They were royally pissed off,
And
and
some
they
of
were
them-
ready to
And some of them
Go
were on
choker.
crutches, and some of
Yeah.
them were in
Wheelchairs
wheelchairs.
and everything
I mean, they
else
were
like that.
waiting
And-
35 minutes into the thing.
Exactly
Some people
right.
have a really good reason to be really pissed off, and then sometimes people just need to get a little more information too, depending on what the situation
Well, again,
is.
it goes right back to
That combination,
access. We're
access,
talking
yeah.
about, you're trying to make sure that people have access and everything else
Which
like that.
unfortunately
and
is
you-
still so limited
It's
so
so
often,
limited,
yeah.
but however, I mean,
Yeah.
you bang away for us all the time. You're on the phone,
I'm
you're on the phone
and fighting
screaming.
and yelling and
Yeah,
email.
okay,
No, I always
you-
start calm
you-
though. I
You
start
start
calm.
calm. Yeah, you're much better off than me.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, sometimes you have to go to politicians, I mean, and say, hey,
Yeah.
look, these people ain't doing anything. They're not doing their job.
Oh, we were just
You
saying that
know?
day, and I'm not even going to mention the topic, but something else came up, another big problem.
Right.
I spent 2 entire days, at least 50 phone calls, including the governor's office in California and Joe Courtney's office in Connecticut,
Sure.
trying to get through to, I still haven't gotten the problem resolved yet, but I haven't given up, but sometimes that's what it takes. It's just
Well, on the
nonstop.
other half, I mean, from the politicians' end of it, they're not educated on every single subject.
No, you can't be.
They're not, and you
No.
can't be educated on every
exactly.
subject. I mean, that's why, you have people, and they do appreciate advocates that come forth and say, here are the problems, this is what families are facing, this is what our community is facing, because they don't know. And I think the one thing that I've heard out of a lot of people is, we don't want to make a bad decision or a bad policy that's going to come around and hurt people.
Exactly.
But a lot of times, they don't get the full picture presented to them by some people that are in the bureaucracy.
That's actually right.
Actually,
That's
you
true.
need the background, there's
You
no
need everything.
question
Yes.
about it, okay? Now, you're helping, you're gonna be dealing with juvenile justice this
Yep.
year with me and as part of the other stuff, and we deal with the ABI. Well, obviously you've done, and you did almost all the research on the stuff that we presented at the State House. That was a lot of work.
Yes.
And myself, even the little work I was doing, because I do a lot of public relations, people know that, we do the Street Talk public thing, the whatever you call that thing on Facebook that we do, and we do the shows and stuff like that. So that in itself is a lot of work. Now, justice stuff, I'm well versed, a lot of years on the juvenile justice stuff, but you cannot be. You just can't be the expert on everything.
Well, I think you
Well,
make a
well,
mistake if
Father,
you try to be the expert on everything and don't
Dominic-
use other people.
Dominic here, he gave us the credibility, when, the homework he did when we sat
Oh,
at the
he
table
was the man.
with DSS
No question about it.
and all. I mean, I sat there like, here we are, we're legit, and Elaine helped out, they both
Right.
collaborated, but Dominic was able to come back with any hard questions that were handed in, any challenges on the other end, not as a challenge necessarily, but as a comeback, like, well, what about,
Information.
Information,
And he was.
Detailed information.
Very detailed that,
In depth.
not all of us would be able to know,
No.
and that was great.
And it wasn't by magic. I mean,
No, I was just gonna say.
a lot of this,
No, a lot of
I mean,
work.
for years, I've always looked at the waiver, because when I was doing the advocacy work, I wanted to
Right.
get a complete understanding of how everything worked. So I used to read through them before I had to read through them and understand how things worked. So in some ways, there was a lot of background over a lot of years, and so and I've seen it progressed. And fortunately, I'm able to use the computer to be able to find pieces of information that
Well, I think-
maybe not other people would be looking for.
Well, it's also delivery too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have all the information in the world, okay, and if you can't deliver that, if you can't explain that to other people, it doesn't make, it's no good. It's like being a trainer. If you can't train,
Right.
you can forget. You can have all the information and everything, but if you can't deliver it,
Well, it's about
And-
knowing people's strengths. Some people are great at research, some people are great at presenting, some people are great at explaining. Everybody has their own strengths and
everybody has
weaknesses.
to,
and
well,
they have to
exactly.
work together for that. Yeah.
Exactly right. You've
Yeah.
got to have the skill sets there that if you don't have
Yeah.
it, that you can rely on, which
And that
I
was-
cheat like all the time.
And I think the other thing, like Dominic has just said too, is, you're talking about some, pulling from things you've done before. I think most of us that are at this level that work in this field and work with ABIs now and fight and advocate, we've done something else in the field of crisis intervention or disability, or whatever the
Sure.
case may be
Right,
before, and we're
exactly.
bringing all that into it with us at the same time. But everything we've learned, or all of the problems that had come up at the time.
And I know we brought up in the other show that we did where we were kind of recapping like what happened with the ABI waiver. It really, when you look at the group of people that came together, it was a group of people, and it was a very
Dynamic
much
group.
a group effort, and what
Absolutely.
was brought around, and how we all approached this, and one person might have done this or might have done that, but
Right.
it really was the
Exactly.
coalition or the
Right.
coalescence of everybody together, because Kathy gets the party started. And she gets everybody up on their feet. And the rest of us kind of come in, like follow up.
Sure,
with
I'm
some
the
other
one in the
stuff.
corner with the lampshade on my head,
That was you,
but that's-
okay.
Well, as Father said, I didn't know what was going to happen in the room. I had never met Father, or Dominic, or even Elaine. I didn't even know what they looked like. I just got there. I knew of Elaine.
Yeah.
I didn't know, hadn't met her yet. We talked on the phone. And so I'm sitting there looking over my shoulder, and the timing had to be right. And then that was the end of it. If you want to watch it, go to September 17th.
But it set the tone. I mean, and
It did, it
it
did.
set the tone, and it was everybody coming together. It was survivors, family members, providers.
Yes, yes.
We were all in the same boat, and we'd all individually taken so much that from Department of Social Services over the years with having to worry about, getting services cut or having to deal with this social worker or what you were talking about with the Title 19, that, everybody suffered individually. But when they realized that we were all in the same boat and that, they were going to take away this, program that we all love,
Right.
I mean, yeah, of course you're going to get the reaction with that.
And the reason for the show is that we're not going away.
No.
It's not over with. I mean, and that's the real reason that we're all at this table, too. I mean, we're not going away. ABI, the brain injury situation and the disability has not got the exposure that it should have. It just hasn't got it. And the last year and a half, it got that, it's getting that exposure. So I want to make sure my audience and the people who watch this, who are concerned, that they get involved with us, because this is statewide. I mean, we're sitting at the table. We're from up here. You're from down
Milford.
It's nationwide.
Well, yes, the whole situation is nationwide. It comes under the American Disabilities
understand.
Act and stuff like that. Imagine I go back how many years to
know.
that? 40-something years?
Sure.
One of the things that's really important here, though, too, and things change along the way, because I know when I first started working on the waiver, and you started working on it a long time before I did, is some of the concept was, we're going to put these monies in place, we're going to get these individuals out of the hospitals in their homes, and we're going to do some training, and then we're going to be able to move back. A lot of people weren't being realistic with the fact
It's
of
going to be over.
people can learn and advance, but the brain is not going to heal. We can't suddenly pull out the staff and the funding and the waiver and the program.
I like to say, brain injury rehabilitation, it's not a straight line.
No.
It's not like, here's where I want to be, and it's going to go like this. It goes like this, a little bit up here,
Exactly.
and it can drop back down. And some
Right.
people need those continuous services
Because,
and to be
Dominic,
about
yeah, because I
Yes.
thought as a mother, he's there, they're going to make him better.
Right.
You think that.
You do.
But the other point I'd like to bring out is empathy for people. You see, until this happened to me, I was always empathetic to others to an extent, but when this happened to me, I realized that unless it's your child and unless it's your problem, and you just can't even imagine the pain. The pain is
And the struggle.
and the struggle is so excruciating, and as I've said before, I grew to not consider anybody my son's advocate unless they proved otherwise. And if they didn't, I told them, I'll turn into a mother polar bear. It's a mother's instinct. I don't care if your child is 10, 6 months, 40, 60, it's your child. And from a mother, that way. So you've got people here, me, a mother, empathy, okay? I know what it feels like. These two individuals, Dominic and Bonnie, the angels in my life, the angels in my life. To know that I can wake up in the morning and somebody has a feeling for the good qualities in my son and want to help bring those out and make him the best person he can be. That's all we want. I mean, you don't know if you're going to cross the street tomorrow or fall off a ledge or something and end up with a brain injury. You don't, and all our vets, everybody's talking about our veterans hospitals and our vets. You don't hear what's happening to them. Where are they? Did they put them away in some hole?
Yeah.
So
That makes me crazy, too.
Enough of that, though.
It does. It makes us all.
They go out and put their life on the line, and then what after
And
that?
not to forget the work that Father does. He's the MC of our show here, and it's his show. But not to forget what he does. I mean, anyone that goes into Father's arms, having gotten to know him, and believe me, I can read people well in politics you have to. When they fall into his arms, they're safe. He means what he's doing.
Once you get over being scared of him.
I was never afraid of him. Not me, I know. I was never afraid of him. I felt so comfortable that there was someone in this world that could be
So
a loving,
amazing and
caring,
loving.
spiritual
Oh my
person.
God, easy, easy.
No, I mean, no,
Facebook thing and
Yeah.
that badass thing, and I didn't come out that bad.
But also tough and focused and a fighter. You have to have that
Yeah.
combination.
but he's a fighter, but I feel
Yes.
comfortable. I feel that the
Yeah.
good in him is driving him.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that it's not an evil thing that he's doing, it's a good thing.
Are you kidding me,
I
right?
feel like I'm on the,
No.
are we on the View now?
It does feel like
Well, you know what? I will say this, Father. I mean,
You're wonderful, all of
as
you.
much as Kathy's building you up, you do build up the people that are around you.
Yes.
And you know what? And that's an important quality. It's not about just one person.
It's I look for good, I
Yeah.
have good people. Okay, now, you can say what you want and everything else like that. Obviously, most of my audience knows I was a prison leader, I was a gang
Yeah.
leader, and I was 1,200 crazy Massachusetts prisoners. Okay, however, to do that, you need to have good people around you. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. You can't do the kind of stuff that we do without having. I
Teams,
can't do
groups,
it.
teams.
Okay, in all different personalities. Okay, you can't. I mean, I am a hammer. Mel, God bless him, that passed away here in New London, the founder of the food program, it said, organizations like ours have to have a hammer, and people that you have to have a force. You can't be afraid to go up against politicians. You can't. I don't care if they like me or not. That's irrelevant to me. Okay, it's a matter of we're on an issue. We need to talk about these. We may not be right. We might have to work with it, but I want you to listen to Dominic, okay? And let him talk to you and see whether it's right or wrong. I want to listen to me, you know what I mean? Or Bonnie, or obviously you, Kathy, and stuff like that. I mean, and that's why we work together and stuff like that. I mean, I want to see you as back in as town selectman down there, because I know that you're like me. They're safe down there. They
Thank you.
they don't need to like me. They don't need to like you, but they need to know that you're going to do the right thing, and that's what's about
what it's about.
everything
Yeah.
at this table. Everybody does the right thing, and that's the most
Doing the right
important
thing
thing.
for the people who need it, that can't fight for themselves.
And
Yes.
exactly.
That's it.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
brings around the point, before you forget.
Oh,
Plug your
that's
plugs. Radical Jesus. Tell us what Radical Jesus is.
Radical Jesus, that's written by my mentor. Okay, it's written by my mentor, John Vincent. He was the president of the Methodist tradition in Great Britain. Okay, all the Methodists need to buy the book, because they're doing a bunch of programs on urban theology here in the United States. John is a serious Methodist theologian, and we did his British book, UK. We've got the American copy that we just did. So, and you can find this on Little Red Church, which is an affiliate of Little Red Tree.
Yeah.
Those of you who knows Michael
Leonard.
Leonard's publishing company, and also Ralph's book. All of you folks that follow me know Ralph Ham, 47th year in prison, author of 4 books, and this is his poetry book that we have out, and I love this book. This is a favorite of mine. It goes back a lot of years, and it's prison poetry, and I hope you go on Little Red Cell and buy that one there, because it finances the prison ministry. It helps, Ralph turns this over and helps other people get their voice out and publish his stuff. Boy, it looks like I'm cutting for time. I love
Wow.
all you people. We got to do this again.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay?
absolutely.
Well, clearly we can. We only have 1 minute left, and we can still talk for another hour.
I want to say God bless you to all my viewers that follow us, and this will be up on YouTube, I hope. And
Yep, we'll get it
we're
up
working
there.
on this year. I want to thank you very much, and I love you all out there. And Mary Jane can run the street, and I'll get out of here.
Oh, great, Father. Thank you